Well, you're right, guys. How's it going? Today we're going to make some chip shop cheese and onion pies. And when I say chip shop, I mean like the ones in the picture here, little aluminium foil ones. So for this we need quite a lot of ingredients actually, but it's dead simple. 3 packs of ready rolled shortcrust pastry, the small packs, or 2 big packs. Medium potato, unsalted butter, a cut of onions, some plain flour, some milk, wasn't quite sure how much on that, but that gets sorted out later. Some double cream, a couple of eggs, mature cheddar, mustard powder, salt and pepper. And as usual, you haven't got to remember that because it's all in the description down below. Here we go then. I used 2 of the larger packs of the ready rolled shortcrust pastry for this, and it worked out to make 6 pies, which is very good. If you're going to use 2 packs of the smaller ones, that's the 320 gram ones, you'll make 4 pies. If you want to make 6, you have to buy a 3rd pack. I'm going to stick with saying 6 pies through this video, it'd be too confusing otherwise. Cut your pastry into 6 squares. A pizza cutter is perfect for this. It just slices through it like butter. Sometimes when you use a knife, the pastry sticks a little bit and it snags. Press a square of the pastry into your pie case. I'll put a link to these down in the description below, an Amazon link. Quite good, quite reasonable price as well. I got a bit quicker at this as I went on, but this is my first effort. I tried different ways of trimming the tops as well to get the excess pastry off. In the end, the easiest was just ripping it off with your fingers. These are the 2 that I've earmarked for pre-baking of the pastry cases. So all you do is just dock the base, that is, prick it with a fork all over. And what these little tiny holes do is they let the steam escape and it stops the base from rising up and coming off the bottom of the case. Pop in a piece of crunched up parchment paper, baking paper, and just top them up with baking beans. These are clay beans. If you haven't got the clay beans like this, you can use any dried beans really, or even rice. Okay then, in the oven, 10 minutes, just about 200 Celsius, till they start taking on just a little bit of colour. And while those 2 are cooking, I prepared the next 4 cases. I got a bit quicker at this now. And it was so much easier just ripping the pastry off the top. No faffing around with a knife or scissors. Okay, peel and dice your potatoes. I used 3 quite small ones, 1 medium would do. The potato's just there to bulk it out a little bit. If it was a home cheese onion pie, I probably wouldn't bother with the potato, but because it's a chip shop version, well, they got potato in. Into a pan of cold water with the potatoes, bring to the boil and simmer for 10 to 12 minutes. You want them so they're just starting to fall apart. Yeah, it's getting warm, Steve. Finally slice your onions and set to one side. Get your cheese grated. I use this Collier's extra mature cheddar, Welsh. Very nice though. We want about 250 grams. I'll tell you what, it is quite dry. It's a very nice cheddar. And crack open and beat your eggs. I used 2 for this. I ended up putting 1 in the mix in a minute and saving approximately 1 for the egg wash at the end. I was going to put 2 in, but I think I'm glad I didn't. Okay, pastry case is done. Potatoes done. It was about 12 minutes in the end actually, quite a good guess by me. So strain off the potatoes and set them to one side. Let them cool down a little bit. Tip the beans back into their jar. Be careful, they're a bit warm. Yeah. I nearly burnt my finger on this one here. Yo. Take off the baking parchment carefully. They weren't just about done. As they cooled, they set a bit more, so that was just about right. A good dollop of butter in a pan. Get it melting close up there. See the white ring around the pan? That's from boiling too much. So what I need to do is clean that pan with a little bit of vinegar. In with the onions. I'm going to sweat them down a bit, get them soft. It'll take about 5 minutes to soften them on low heat. You can see the butter's not fully melted there, which helps to stop them burning. It won't take long. Constantly stirring. I don't want any colour on them, that's the thing. There we are, nice and floppy like that, if I can get hold of one. Perhaps I should use a fork rather than a chopstick. In with about 2 tablespoons of plain flour. Stir it around, get the onions all coated. Once the onions are coated, in with everything else basically. I wasn't quite sure how much milk I need, but I started off with 50ml. 50ml of double cream. The double cream, I didn't increase that, but you'll see about the milk in a minute. So in with the milk and cream, give it a good mix around. A 1/4 teaspoon of mustard powder. I suppose you could use liquid mustard for this. 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. That jar's nearly empty. Note to self, buy some more. And a good tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Mix it around. And in with the potatoes. Nicely softened and cooled down a little bit by now. In with the cheese. And let's get the cheese melting. And as I said before, I ended up putting half of the egg in, so that was basically 1 egg. I need more milk, it's a bit too thick. A little bit more. Still a bit thick, so a little bit more milk. Looking good, coming together well, cheese melting nicely. Nice gooey mess. Set the pan to one side and cut your remaining pastry sheet into squares to make the tops of the pies. Bit of egg wash around the pastry cases. This is one of the pre-cooked ones. You see what I mean now? They're a little bit more cooked than they were when I got them out the oven. This will help the tops to stick. In with a generous filling of the cheesy onion mix. Push it into the corners, if there are any corners in a circle. On with one of the squares to form the top. Press it down onto the egg wash. And again, just rip the excess off with your fingers. So much easier than cutting it with a knife. I suppose if it was a more formal dish, I would cut it, but it's a chip shop cheese onion pie. Crimp the edges with a fork all the way round. Poke a couple of holes in the centre with a knife. Again, this lets the steam out. Stops the top, bulging upwards too much. Egg wash all over. And repeat for all the pastry cases. What I did, the non-pre-baked ones, I poked 4 holes in those so I knew which ones they were. So which were raw and which were pre-cooked, if you know what I mean. In the oven, 200 Celsius, 20-25 minutes until golden brown on top. Okay then, here they all are. These 2 are the pre-baked pastry ones, and these 4 are just the pastry in the case. Now the reason I did this, I wasn't sure if there's any benefit to doing it, so let's have a quick look. It's got the 2 holes. These have got 4 holes. Look, that's my way of knowing that these are part baked. So yeah. Ooh, I'll leave it at that. Not an awful lot of difference, really. I don't think it's worth the effort. No, no. No, not at all. Maybe if there's another 5 minutes of cooking, these would be as, you know, as well, that's not even that. It's not solid. And there's the docking holes there. Look. Well, there we are. So I think the thing to do now is to we'll have a taste. I'm not going to taste both types because I want to save some of these. I'm not that greedy. So let's get a plate. Get stuck in there, Steve-o. Well, it's certainly gooey enough. I'll tell you what, that is not far off a chip shop cheese onion pie. The chip shop ones are a bit more gooey, but that's not always a good thing because it goes all down your front when you're eating them. Oh. Excuse me, but that is a keeper. The potatoes are nicely boiled down, so they're soft. The potatoes are there just to bulk it up a little bit. Oh yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Stay tuned. More recipes to come. And as a quick side note before we finish, the ones that were not pre-baked, when they were reheated, 15 minutes about 180 Celsius, the base of the pies went nice and crispy. So in future, I am not pre-baking. Take care, guys.